Okay, so once again, welcome to today's podcast. As you can see, we are laughing. Why are we laughing? Because we've been talking for like over 5 minutes now, and I forgot to press the rec button.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So once again, welcome to today's podcast number
4.
Fantastic.
That's number 4.
We know that. As you can see, we are a little bit short-staffed today. Claudia couldn't make it, and Sylvia as well. They were literally on the way to here, but there were a lot of cancellations from trains and buses, all that kind of stuff. So we had to change a bit our agenda, but we know what we want to cover, and it's still okay, right? So let's say hello to both Sylvia and Claudia. So hey, we are still doing this even without you. But yeah, there are a few things that we want to cover today.
Yeah.
And a main one is around, of course, it's always music related. So how we discover music, our playlist on Spotify and streaming platform in general.
Yeah.
But also as a music producer, how do you get your music out there? How do you get your music playlisted? How important it is to have that song or that specific, music to be out there? How people are discovering your music, or how do you discover music, right? Because nowadays there is a lot of music being, released every week.
second.
Every second. But Friday is insane. It's the release day. If you didn't know, Friday is the release day for music in general, for streaming platforms. So that's when all the music is coming out usually. But we couldn't really come up with a title for today's podcast.
Yeah.
We were kind of fighting, borderline with fighting.
Kind of.
So we went with, why don't we check with AI? Here we go.
The moderator.
So just go with some of the ideas that we have in terms of titles, and then we get started.
Yeah, so we had like 5 options generated from AI. So one of it was from shuffle to favorites, creating the perfect playlist, which kind of we both agree on.
Yep.
Like, that sounds good.
We liked it.
And then we have music discovery, how we find and add new tracks. Now, these were the 2 options that we kind of agree on. But then we asked to generate 5 more. But, I guess like from shuffle to favorites, crafting the perfect playlist, I think is appropriate.
I agree.
Yeah?
And also, before we actually move into that one, right? So we start with one and then we move, right? Like we always have the agendas, few bullet points, but then we go with whatever we feel like. The reason why we are wearing sunglasses today is not because of an hangover.
No.
Just to make sure.
No.
It's just because it's really early in the morning right now. We are recording, we are in London, and we had to wake up super early to be here right now. So that's the only reason why. Anyway, let's get started with the first one. What do you want to start with?
Well, so we can start to discuss a bit more about playlists, like why we make one. Why we don't just like type in all the time. I know it's very convenient to go there to the playlist and, so we have that for quick access, right? But there is probably also another reason for why we have a playlist. And from my streaming service, which is different from yours, we always debate about this. But I have like so many playlists based on either, I just discovered a new artist and I'm going to add to a playlist that I call Discovery. Then I have a playlist for like classic rock or classic blues, or when I'm like, sometimes I'm upset or so I just want something that can give me a bit of power and feeling that, so I just need to relieve my stress. So, so each of us got a different playlist with different content. And, so I also have like some like kind of romantic playlist with like some sort of nostalgic tunes. Just like I told you the other day, like one of my, I don't want to say secret or stuff like that, but because I'm a 90s kid, I was growing up with Celine Dion. My dad and my mom's they had like cassettes in the car, and wherever we go around, it was Celine Dion. And every time that I hear one of her songs, it takes me back there. So I have a playlist also for that sort of trips, like those nostalgic trips that will take me to my happy place back then. So just in general, like, what's in your playlist, for example? Like, what is like
Yeah, I mean,
how does your phone looks like
it is a
in terms of
mix.
playlist?
It
You know,
is a mix, and I'm really happy, that every time we talk about something, we always go back with other episodes of what we covered already a little bit, right? Things are always connected in a way. So now we are talking about playlist. We never covered actually playlist. That's why we are doing it today. But we used AI at the beginning for the title of today's podcast, and it's connecting the things together. It's always important, or the emotions, right? Like the memories, the reason why you listen to a specific song, and how it really connects with your soul and your memories specifically. So it's kind of nice to connect the dots together. For me, I feel like I listen to a lot of music in general, but I'm not as open to different genres as you are. I feel like you really listen to anything out there, anything. For me, like rock, it's not like I've got nothing to do with rock, to be honest. So I'm a little bit more, if I can say, close-minded in this kind of, like it's not
about being close-minded. I think it doesn't trigger nothing in you. So it's not about being close-minded.
I don't feel anything.
Exactly. I guess you tried many times to listen to one of the classic rock or rock music, but it doesn't trigger your inner self or your soul or whatever. So it's not about, close-minded. It's just like it's
that
not
makes sense.
The things that triggers you.
And my playlist, it's really diverse anyway. And just to mention one thing first, playlists have always been there, right? Like, even though nowadays it's so simple for us to make it, because I go on the different streaming platform, Amazon or Spotify, Apple Music, whatever there will be, and we can quickly create a folder with our favorites.
That's what I do.
That's all there is.
That's
right?
what I do.
Like a playlist, it's a folder that is including all of your favorite music
Yeah.
within one label. If we want to look at it more on an IT perspective, right?
Yeah.
If we want to. But like, if you remember in the 90s, early 2000s, like, people used to buy cassettes with a specific playlist. The things like in Italy, there was the
Summer
festival
compilation. You remember?
Summer compilation from
I loved
M2 and so on, right?
Yeah.
They've always been there.
Yeah.
They've always been there. It's just before it, it was in a distributed in a different
format.
way.
Yeah.
That was it. But it's always been there. And for us, like as end users or listeners, it has always been super important to gather music together, right? You love one artist. I love Martin Garrix, but like, I can't listen to Martin Garrix all day, every day, because my emotions are going to be different. And you know what? I also like Alesso, David Guetta, and I also like maybe Adele every now and then, depending on my mood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes I want to put things together. So going back to my playlist, really diverse. I've got different playlists. We can go through some of the playlists together maybe later on.
Yeah.
But I've got like a playlist for the car. So when I'm driving.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes I'm traveling for work.
And you cannot change while you
I
drive.
cannot really change it. And so I've got a little playlist with, I think there are like 200 songs. And this literally, it's usually songs that I will sing along while I'm driving, right?
Nice.
So the time is going to pass, it's going to go really fast. And, I feel like that 2 hours driving or 150 miles driving is going to feel like less painful, I will say. I've got one for the gym. I've got one for when I'm working from home. For my actual job in IT, I love to listen to lo-fi music.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm working from home, it makes me feel like I'm really relaxed and I'm also, really, especially if I'm creating something at work, it really works for me. But if I need to speed up, I love to watch. Right now, for example, the only thing I'm watching when I need to speed up and I feel a little bit more under pressure, I go with Ultra Music Festival Axwell 2024. This is what I'm listening 1 hour and a half, and I go mental. Like, I've got 1 hour and a half of 10 screens opening, 10 pages in 2 screens.
Sometimes it does send me like some of videos.
Yeah, I literally, like, it's a vibe. Yeah. I don't feel I'm working anymore. I feel like I'm in a club, and at the same time I'm doing my job.
Well, next time, what you should do? You should take like your work laptop in a festival and work from there.
That could be. But you know what happened last time, actually, funny enough? I was at the office in central London for my actual job. And and I was a bit under pressure, so I had to move fast. And I was listening to, there was Lost Frequencies, I think, at Tomorrowland.
Okay.
So I had it on the background, right? And then my manager is passing by, and literally I'm working next to the CEO, right?
Okay.
Like my desk is here.
Yeah.
The CEO desk is probably, I don't know, the room with the desk is probably like 5 meters away, right? Like super close. So I'm sitting there, I'm working, I'm super productive and so on. And then my manager is asking me to grab something and go into a Teams call quickly. So the first thing I do, because I've got my headphones, is to unplug the headphones. But guess what? The music didn't stop. So it went super loud. Like the whole office was literally in a meeting. And I was like with Lost Frequencies going crazy at Tomorrowland. Luckily, it wasn't swearing or anything, so it was good. But yeah, it was one of those moments where you try to close the laptop and it keeps going
playing.
anyway, right? So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a thing. But so yeah, this is, my playlist. I use mainly Spotify, I would say. I'm not a big fan of, I use Amazon Music when I use Alexa at home.
Okay.
But I go with random stuff like, hey, I'm cooking, play, whatever, the name of the artist, and then it goes with that one. But no, I think I never use Apple Music.
Okay.
Never. I don't know why. I feel like I've always been with Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't pay for Spotify subscription. I use the one with advertisement because I'm working mainly from home, and I feel like I can skip all the music I want. I can, select the one I want to anyway, and I'm not gonna pay for that service, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, how about you?
I live in the Apple ecosystem, so you know me. And actually, so this is probably another episode for our podcast, but there is a difference in audio quality and streaming quality. So it's a thin line, literally, like it's something very thin between the two. But I can feel the difference when you stream from Spotify or Apple Music or there is also another one, Tidal.
One with the
Tidal, as well. So they got like, you can definitely feel the difference between. And I found using Apple Music because I found it's the sweet spot for me.
Okay.
And I really like it. And
but what's the main difference? Quality in terms of I don't know. Like for example, right? Like if you listen something through specific headphones, maybe let me go with Beats. That the low end is actually pretty strong compared to Sennheiser, for example, right?
Yeah.
Is it something related to this as well, or is it literally just the quality of the audio in general?
It's the quality, is the mastering, is the resolution of the sound that is slightly different compared to the other. Now, I haven't been on Spotify for a very long time, so it
got more expensive, by the way.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I think Apple stayed with the same price, if I'm not wrong. I don't know.
Could be.
But anyway, so, direct debit, so I don't say that.
Yeah.
No, I remember when I used to work in audio, and you can feel the difference a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. Now they're getting closer to each other because, of course, they want to promote high level quality and a quality that doesn't lose lots of details.
Yeah.
But when I say resolution, it's just trying to imagine HD, Full HD, 4K.
Yeah.
All right. So when you see that resolution, you can see the difference jumping from HD, Full HD, and 4K. Same things is happening in audio. Now we can have another podcast when it comes to this stuff, but this is the spectrum here that we're trying to discuss. So different streaming service will provide you with different audio quality. But again, like, I don't know how it is today, but I remember they used to be this sort of
because from a producer kind of point of view, like if I submit my music, right, and it goes on streaming platform, either if I do self-release, which I'm a big fan of it, to be honest, or I go with a label, the quality of the actual track mastered is the same. I'm not going to give a different one to Apple Music compared to Spotify. So that means the actual streaming platform is the one that is going to change a bit the quality of my music, right?
But this is about what you want to put out there, because, like, for example, there are songs that are mastered for spatial audio.
Oh yeah,
okay,
that makes sense.
And there are mastering that are like just focused on spatial audio, which is different from the standard stereo, right? So you need then to create the mastering for that. So then you just share it, and then you, okay, so this is how I want my music to be played there, because the mixing and mastering is designed for that. So I want in that way. So it's all about the artist as well. So now here you can tell us a bit more about this, because I don't do self-release. I don't go into this field because it's not my stuff. But maybe you can tell us a bit more about what's the experience that is with releasing your music out there, because I don't know, and especially in playlists, because I guess one of the main things that you want to do to get your music around there is to jump on a playlist. And so what's the process behind it? Is it hard? Is it easy?
It is hard. I mean, let's start with once the music is out there, right? So you release your music. You got two options mainly. Number one is to go with a self-release like platform. There are different ones, right? You pick the one that you prefer for different reasons. It could be royalties. It could be, the price you pay for it to be distributed, or it could be anything, right? There are many factors. I'm going with one specifically that I really like. They are straightforward. There are no, hidden fees or anything of that nature. So it goes pretty good, and I don't pay anything on top of that, and I get paid every month. And I think I get paid so for example, if we are now in January, I get paid from September, so 3 months after the actual statement of that specific month. You can go with labels as well. I have to say, I've been dreaming so much about getting my music out with labels. I feel like when you grow up, you hear these people like in the industry, they all talk about labels. It's the only way to get out there and, to have your music played and so on. At the same time, I feel like I've reached a point in my life where I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. And, like work-wise, I've got my job in IT, which is something that I like. It pays the bills. And I feel like that's my comfort zone. That's the safe area for me in terms of money, right?
Yeah.
And I like it as well. But then I'm producing my own music. I produce whatever I want, whenever I want it, right? And I'll be completely honest, I don't care who's going to listen to it. This is what I want to send out there. Then if you want to get it, it's great.
Yeah.
If you like it, I mean, it's even better. But I'm not going to change it just because of, everyone is playing tech house. Why don't you produce a tech house? If I don't feel like producing it, I'm not going to produce it.
Then.
I'm not going to produce it. And sometimes I have these moments where, I don't produce. I haven't been producing a song for 3 months, I think. Because I had this moment. I always have these moments of I go blank. I see in front of my screen and there is nothing.
You need to reset and restart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then when I get started again, am I going to produce 3 songs in a month? I literally got 1 week, 1 song per week. Quick, bam, done. And then I've got a few releases ready to go. Now, I've been dreaming about the label, and it finally happened. I had, for my last 2 tracks specifically, that's for sure. I remember Vegas Baby, and then the last one, which is Melodic Sadness. For both of them, specifically for Vegas Baby, I had 4 offers from labels.
Yeah,
and
I remember you
for
told
Melodic
me that.
Sadness, I had 3 offers from labels. And I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. There were different reasons behind it, right? But I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. I felt it was always more, I'm giving, and I know this is probably not the right thing to say, but I'm giving a part of me.
Oh,
When I produce a song, it's my song. There is a reason behind it. If I produce Melodic Sadness, it's because there is a specific reason behind it. Melodic Sadness, I wanted to share the feeling I had listening about or hearing about what's happening around the world with the war and, the hate around us and all these kind of things happening, right? So I wanted to give that kind of melodic, that sadness being into a specific song, right? Really instrumental and so on. With Vegas Baby, it was more about, having fun and just living a simple life and so on. So every single song got something. And at the end of the day, I don't want to give it to someone. They're just going to use it to make a lot of profit or whatever there will be, just for the sake of, that's another song out there. If you want to listen to it, it's great. If not, I don't really care, right? I need to have a place where we work on something together. Yes, it's my project. It's my music. I don't care if I'm going to have 7 billion stream a day. Because I'll be honest with you, the reason why I produce music is because I guess I'm not famous. Probably. I'm one of those people that if at some point my music is going to go crazy and I won't be able to walk around in a city because people will be asking for a picture or whatever, that's probably the moment I'll end up living, in a mount at the top of the mountain and not talking to anyone, not doing shows anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that, of all the crazy lifestyle behind it. Not at all. That's why I love self-release, because I know that people around me, the community, they like to listen to my music. They are not expecting my music to be out there every week, which is great. So not pressure at all. And then I produce whatever I want. If I feel like producing it next month and releasing it, then I'll do it. If it's not perfect, I don't care. As long as the message is out there and it's doing the job for me. It's really selfish to say, but it has to work for me. Then if the listeners are going to get it and enjoy it, it's great. If not, I'm still going to be producing my own music. At the end of the day, I'm not coming to you and, pointing a knife on you and asking you to play my music on your Spotify or Amazon or whatever.
In any playlist.
Exactly. So absolutely not. So once your music is out there, then, of course, you need to make sure that in terms of copyrights is right. You need to meet specific standards for quality of music anyway, because even if self-release, you cannot release whatever you want. You fart and you release it, right? That's not gonna work. The example was perfect, I guess. It's still music though. Still music. It's still a mix of frequencies. So once the music is out there, people can get your music in different ways, right? Like discover new music and so on. You can do advertisement, paid or unpaid, entirely up to you. I do a lot of unpaid, of course, on my social media and so on. And then what I do, I also have a distribution list, a kind of Excel page with the different DJs' email address, so that people that I know I worked with before or anything like that. And then I'll send my track out, because again, I don't care to make profit. I really don't.
If it happens, it happens.
But I don't. So
your aim is not that.
No, exactly.
It's just like, if it happens, great. If it don't, I'm happy that I did it. It's all the process and everything, and just put it out. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Then if it happens that it turns viral on a reel or on TikTok,
it's
even better, because this is actually the other things that so that I wanted to, or we wanted to talk about, so that the playlist or the songs, then they may end it up into social media, because this is beside the playlist. Others ways to turn viral or get known by people is that sometimes it happened to me, so I hear a song on a reel or a TikTok and I'm like, ooh, I never had this before. Let me Shazam it.
Exactly.
So, that's interesting. And then I'll jump into these artists and find out more about it. So I guess your aim, more or less, is also similar here, so that even when you release it on your social media, because you mentioned the social media as well, then people can of course click on your page or maybe from some of your videos or reels that goes around.
I'll try to put it out there, but then, it happened before, and I remember we talked about it. Like, I pushed this 2024 a bit more than 2023. I had a specific project, a specific, focus and goal. And I can see that my music this year has been played in over 90 countries, 90. worldwide, and only on YouTube I've managed to gain 1 year over 120,000 views, right? There is a lot of work behind it, but again, I don't feel the pressure. I feel like this is all organic. This is all what I want to do. If it goes up next year, I'm really happy with that, but it doesn't, I don't care. I'm still going to do what I want to do. And if I want to stop one day, I'll stop. And then if I want to go back after 5 years, I'll try to go back. I mean, this is what we can do nowadays, because I'm not relying on this. This is not my my income is not coming from podcast or music production or whatever.
And somehow when you produce music, people feel it.
Absolutely,
that the song, the production doesn't have that stress on it. It is genuine, and and actually you have lots of fun, and people can feel that you're having fun. You're doing it because you want to, and not because someone told you to, or because you have to pay the bills, and so you need to like rush it and like let's do something. So sometimes you can feel it in a production when a track or a song is made with different intention than sharing yourself or sharing your ideas, sharing your feelings. So
that's why when I have artists, and we probably have to close soon, but when I have artists producing a song every week, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, why are you doing this? I get the idea of pushing a lot of music out there because the competition is high and so on, but if I listen to your music, a new song every week, I'm expecting something crazy, right? I'm expecting you either going to do an album, which I get it, and you release it every week. This is something that Martin Garrix did last year. Instead of releasing the whole album, was like a release every week for 12 weeks, so 3 months, more or less. And then the album is out.
Collection.
Boom, that's it. So people can listen to it. You're not going to create that sparkle of the album is out there, you listen to 2 songs and that's it. Something slightly different, right? And I guess it worked for him, but I was teasing people a lot with his own productions from 2023 already, and then the new album came out, I think, at the beginning of 2024. Anyway, so it was a good structure there. But it's not, it's you need time as an artist. If you put your emotions there, unless you live a crazy life where everything is happening all together and you need to let it out all together, I don't believe in producing a song every 2 days and, having a hit record every week. Or, what we see nowadays, I'm not a big fan of... I love David Guetta, what he produces, of course, and what he's done for the industry. But his new songs, I feel like are really old music, bring it back to new style with future rave or whatever that is. And that's pretty much it. I'm not a big fan. The idea was already there. I like the idea of making a remake maybe for festivals. That makes sense. But releasing it on a radio and putting all the effort there, I really feel like it's more, I don't know what to produce anymore. So let me grab something that was working in the early 2000s. I'll put a new kick, a new
sounds,
a new bass line, and I'll change a little bit the high, and that's it. So we send it out. I'm not a big fan of that. There is so much that you can create. Why would you go back to that? Unless, of course, you're a new producer, like maybe myself. I'll use that one as to grab people attention, and then I'll build on that. But
what if, this is also another nice point of view to look at it, is that what if he had a playlist from 2002 on the phone, on the iPod, and then it was listened to it and it was like, oh my gosh, that was such a good tune. Why let's not republish it? Why let's not like make a new version out of it? Because sometimes that could be also it. And I wanted to bring here today my classic iPod from 2008.
Wow.
And I still have it. It still works, and it's an absolutely beauty, especially in terms of sound quality and audio. It's amazing. And in these days, I was looking at the stuff that I was listening in 2008, 10, those era there, and, and you feel nostalgic, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I really loved this song back then because it triggered so many memories. It made me live the best time of my life. I would like to propose this again. Sometimes that may also be another point of view, like that one, for example.
Yeah.
And because I knew that we were talking about this today, so I went in my drawer and I found the iPod there, and I was like, oh my gosh, Some of the stuff I still listen to. Some of the artists I still listen to them. And some others, they were just like something that lasted for a very short time, and then that was it. But yeah, so probably this is also like another way of, and that's probably also the reason why playlists can be useful sometimes. So it can kind of take us a snapshot of your moment of that time.
I guess that's music, right? Like, it's always the same.
Yeah.
I feel like music, it's powerful, but at the same time, it's all about the memory you got connected to that specific track. It's always the same, right? Like, when you connect to a track, it's always your imagination connected to it. That's all that is. So you can like a song, but it's always what means for you, right? Which might be different also for what the reason why the artist created it as a starter. But anyway, look, we gotta go.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this might be the last podcast for now that we are recording. Last podcast might be, because the plan for this year was to run was to have mainly 4 DJ sets, 4 new tracks, and 4 podcasts for 2024.
Yep.
We achieved this one, so I'm now thinking about what's gonna happen in FY25.
Yeah.
I've got another idea, so I might have to stop podcasting for now for a little bit and then move into something slightly different. But that really depends. It's still work in progress. We are still talking about it, so let's see what it's going to be. But this really brings us, even the GoPro stopped. So now we got only one camera.
Now we got
Today was a little bit of a rush, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I guess this really brings us to the end of today's podcast. I mean, as always, we started with something and then we've been talking for over half an hour.
In
the first 5 minutes, we forgot to record it. So imagine.
Awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so let us know what you think about your
how do you stream your music?
Yeah.
How do you discover the
Playlist,
music? And do you use social media a lot for that or not? Do you rely on, I don't know, maybe the radio? Are people still listening to radio?
I love
Yes,
it,
I do as well. I love it because it's a
while
mix.
I work.
For me, radio, it's a good mix of music and podcasting together.
Yeah.
Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It does the job. I love it. Apart from the advertisement, but they need to, that's their income, right?
Exactly.
That's the way how they make profit. I guess this really brings us to the end of today's podcast. So we might gonna see each other again. If not, of course,
you know where to find us.
We're just gonna be around anyway. We are just one message away.
The channel is
Yeah.
Markito, Music.Markito.
Channel is there, Spotify is there, everything is there. So who knows? Maybe Sam is gonna come out with some new music at some point.
It's work in progress at the moment.
Little hint there.
Yeah, I got something cooking at the moment, so
which is great.
Yeah,
So
work in progress.
Good luck on that one. And I guess this really brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thanks again for watching us, and thanks to, on top of that, to Sam for being a fantastic guest, but not really a guest anymore. I mean, we are in this together.
Yeah.
The same was with Sylvia and Claudia again. I'll be a bit sorry that they couldn't make it today, but a big thank you for them as well for the effort and all the time we spent together. Contribution as well. It's been incredible, and they really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. That's the reason why we did it for a whole year. But let's see for next year. Now, thanks again. And Sam, before we go, do you want to say something? No. Fantastic. I love it. All right. So thanks again. And may the music be with you, right?
Yeah.
We have to close it like this.
That's perfect.
Fantastic.
Perfect
okay.
closure.
Thanks again, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao.